we will go into our final official movie review for this week. And that is El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Now, I just gotta say, Breaking Bad is one of my favorite shows ever. Undoubtedly, like, if I'm gonna break down my favorite shows, I can't officially come up with a top 5, but I know my top 3 are The Sopranos, The Wire, and Breaking Bad. Like, hands down, those are my 3 favorite shows ever.
I can dig it.
So to hear about this movie coming out after the show finished up like 6 years ago, super excited. But we didn't know they were filming it.
We had not a clue until Netflix was like, El Camino.
Out of nowhere.
We were like, wait, what?
It's like El Camino out of nowhere. RKO out of nowhere. So it's just like, it's crazy that they were able to do this and nobody knew about it. Like, there were rumors for a long time. Like, yeah, they're going to do a Breaking Bad follow-up. Vince Gilligan, who created the original show, he talked about following up the show with some sort of movie. There were always rumors. They interviewed the cast on multiple occasions and stuff like that. And people would kind of play coy, like, oh, yeah, it's going to happen at some point. Yeah, we've heard about it. And then, like 2 months ago, Netflix just like drops this trailer. It's like damn near the equivalent of a surprise album.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. But maybe it also had more steam than I'm thinking, too, because Better Call Saul, right? Like, Better Call Saul was also doing pretty well, and people were following that. So maybe it was like a, I don't know. Maybe he felt like that was the next step. Like, oh, Better Call Saul did well. Let's go ahead and, go back to my ideas of a Breaking Bad epilogue.
That's a good point, yeah, because, I mean, Better Call Saul has been, I think they're in their 5th season. So it's been going on almost as long as Breaking Bad has been.
Breaking Bad was short, which is part of the greatness.
Yeah, I mean they knew the importance of getting in and getting out, and
a lot of shows still don't do.
Yeah, I mean they had a beginning, middle, and end, and they knew where they wanted to go. But I mean, yeah, the movie, it debuted on Friday on Netflix, and it's a 2-hour movie, so it serves as sort of an epilogue to Jesse Pinkman's story, who's played by Aaron Paul, Bryan Cranston's co-star in the original series. And so it takes place directly after the series finale. So I mean, I don't want to give away spoilers to what happens in Breaking Bad, because I know people still stream that show today and discover it, right? So I don't want to give away any spoilers to what ends up happening in the show, and where it ends, but essentially what you need to know is that this movie picks up directly after the final episode. So if you are binging, Breaking Bad right now, keep going and finish it out, El Camino. But it picks up, following Jesse Pinkman's story after the events of the final episode. And, they filmed this movie a year ago in New Mexico, which is where the original series was filmed. It took them only 50 days. Real quick production.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. So, again, they knew what they wanted to do and they did it. But I would say, man, I watched it and I liked it. I dug it.
You like it? Yeah.
I thought it was good. I didn't expect like this super incredible movie per se, because it is different from the show. Yeah. Like it has like the same tone in a sense of the show, but it is still different enough. But I still liked it because it still felt like it was a part of the Breaking Bad universe. And obviously there are characters from the show that come back in this movie. You see cameos and appearances from well-known characters. But I think what I mostly liked about it is just the fact that it was a very isolated, singular story about one character.
Yeah.
Like, there are supporting actors there, but this movie is about Jesse Pinkman's, as a character. Yeah. It follows him from beginning to end, and you basically see where he ends up. And all along the way, there's this tension because you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know if he's going to survive this or not. So there's this underlying tension, because I'll just say that, like, he's not in a good place at all.
Oh, no.
He goes through a lot in the show, and this carries over, right?
Oh boy, he goes through so much in that show, and this is like, he's still going through it.
Oh, very much so.
He's still struggling.
Yeah, there's some severe trauma that he's experienced, and you see that play out.
It is like, the trauma is actually insane. Like, he's literally scared. I don't know how else to put it. Like,
no, that's what it is. I mean, he's experiencing some emotional trauma, some physical trauma, because he goes through a lot in the show, like I mentioned, some really heinous things that, I mean, people shouldn't have to go through. And so he's dealing with that while also trying to, for lack of a better term, establish a new situation for his life. Like he's trying to get to, somewhere and go in a different direction and essentially start over.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of this movie is almost a rebirth for his character.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
And I would actually compare this as in a faraway dreamland, right? I would actually compare this to a Woody and Toy Story 4.
Oh,
where,
nice.
Where
okay.
like it's about his journey and how his journey is supposed to end, right?
Right.
And yeah, it was good. Again, for what it was, for what we needed it to be, it is pretty much exactly what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
It was shot beautifully. Like
I
was looking at the colors like, man, this is great. One of my favorite things about Breaking Bad as a TV show, they've always liked colors, right?
Yeah.
They always explore how a character's color exhibits their state of mind at that moment. And actually seeing Jesse Pinkman like go through these different phases, right? Even with his flashbacks, and he has on certain colors, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to now, like, dang, what color you got on now? Like, really actually kind of gets deep onto the thought process of this band and what he's about to do,
right?
And yeah, and just how he feels, and it's just great.
Yeah, it's really great, man, and it's I think it's very well written, very very well directed. You know, it's I mean, as a piece of like filmmaking, it checks all the boxes. The script is great, and I mean, again, I think satisfied with where the story started off and where it ended off at. I mean, I think if you're a fan of Breaking Bad, if you like the show and you like what they did with those characters and you want to continue that story and see what happens, I think you'll certainly be satisfied with this. Like, I really can't see how somebody who really enjoyed the show would be disappointed by this, because it's not meant to start something new.
Right.
It's meant to wrap things up. It's meant to give you that final piece of the puzzle. You want to know what happened specifically to this character, because everybody else in the original show, they pretty much have some finality to them.
Right.
We know where everybody ends up by the series finale. But Jesse is sort of that last holdover character from the series finale where it's like, damn, what happened to him? Where did he go? What did he do?
Which that's interesting, because sometimes it's part of the genius, but like sometimes you don't want to know what happened. But I think this was a good realization that, man, maybe this does need to happen this time, because sometimes it does happen and you're like, no, but this needs to happen.
Right.
And I think they did a good job of picking this. I will say a couple times I was lost.
Yeah,
I was like, because how I said it was like flashbacks. I was like, why are we here?
That's true.
A couple times I was like, huh?
Yeah, if you haven't watched the show in a while, you might see some things or see some characters or just like a few Easter eggs and nods that pop up, and you're like, yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I was like,
happening. Like, what is that supposed to allude to? So, I'm not necessarily gonna say like binge the whole show before you watch it. I thought about doing that, but I'm just like, I can't. Like, I don't have enough time to like go through 5 seasons and do that whole thing again. But maybe you watch the movie and you might miss a couple things. I would encourage you to just like maybe Google, like an Easter egg video or a video that sort of breaks down like the things that you might have missed in the movie. There's always YouTubers that dig and sift through that stuff, so you don't have to necessarily go through 55+ hours of television, before you watch the movie. But yeah, I mean, they did a really good job of, even if they introduced something that you didn't necessarily remember, I think it doesn't necessarily take away from the story. Like, they still figure out a way to wrap it up really nicely. So yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I think the last thing that I want to mention, so actor Robert Forster, who was in the original Breaking Bad TV series, he's also in the movie. That may or may not be a spoiler alert, but we sort of have to go in this territory because that actor passed away the day the movie was released, which is kind of crazy. If you don't know Robert Forster, he's had a really, really, really long career in Hollywood. I think at least 4 or 5 decades in Hollywood. The movie that I most remember him from personally growing up was Jackie Brown.
Yes, sir.
Like, that is where I remember him from, because Quentin Tarantino actually had a really stellar cast in that movie. Like, when you go back and watch it,
man, it's actually insane.
Yeah, like Pam Grier, Michael Keaton, Sam Jackson, De Niro, Robert Ford. Like, it was kind of crazy. But he's been in a lot of stuff. He's known as sort of like a character actor. But again, like I mentioned, he had a really long career, and he passed away again the day the movie was released.
That's wild.
Which is just crazy, because I vividly remember, like, I was watching the movie this morning. And there's a scene with him in the movie, an extended scene at that, and like you get a lot of him in the movie.
Yep.
And I just checked my phone really quick. I went on Instagram and I saw that he had passed away as I was watching him. That's never happened to me before, right? So
that's wild.
It was just crazy to see that. But I think he was 78. Again, he had a long career in Hollywood, but, we just wanted to mention that and pay our respects to him. And I've seen like a lot of other people come on social, like Bryan Cranston, star of Breaking Bad, put out something. James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy. They've all shared these really nice stories. And what I keep seeing, I obviously didn't know him personally, but what I keep seeing from like a lot of other, people in Hollywood, his peers, everybody said he was like one of the most kind, nice people that they've ever come across, right? Yeah. Like everybody had really, really positive things to say about him. So, I think that's worth mentioning. He is in the movie, but we just want to pay our respects to Robert Forster and his career, what he did in Hollywood. But those are our thoughts on El Camino. It's on Netflix now. If you have the chance, if you're a Breaking Bad fan, definitely recommend seeing that one and just checking that out. And again,
check it out.
That's another movie you can watch from the comfort of your own bedroom or your living room. So you don't really get to lose much but a couple hours. So